Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about a subject that is new for this channel, which is that of personal finance. Because I enjoy talking about personal finance, and I'm including myself in this, but it's an area that we can all stand to benefit from getting better at. So, building on the premise that building wealth is a good goal because it will help you be a blessing to others and be able to retire eventually and whatnot. If that is your goal, one of the things you really have to pay attention to is your net worth and how your decisions, your financial moves of meaningful size, or even like a moderate size, how those moves are going to impact the trajectory of your net worth over time. Is it going to help it go up and climb as the years go by, or is it going to cause it to go down? So that comes in the form of a few questions that are kind of the same thing, just asked different ways. But the question essentially is, and I'll kind of give you an example, is say your net worth, which is, if you're not familiar, is everything you own minus what you owe. So it's all your stuff and your accounts totaled together after you've paid off all your debt. Okay, and you can have a negative net worth if you're just graduating from college and you owe more in student loans than you have. It can be negative, and that's not a place you really want to stay. So anyway, the question is, if I'm going to make this financial move, say it's buying a laptop for $1,000, well, what percent of my net worth does $1,000 represent? Okay, if your net worth is $10,000, that's 10% of your financial picture at that moment in time. And so, since 10% is such a large percentage, that means it really warrants careful consideration. More so than if your net worth was $1,000,000. Okay, $1,000 isn't, even if you threw it in the trash, it wouldn't have as big of an effect on your complete picture as it would if you only had 10,000 to your name. So if you spend $1,000 on a laptop, well, what is the laptop going to be worth as the years go by? 5 or 10 years later, how how valuable is a 10-year-old laptop versus what it cost when it was new? A whole lot less. Okay, if you spend $1,000 now, it might be worth $100 5 or 10 years from now. And if that's 10% of your net worth that you've just set on a downward trajectory, that's going to be a drag on your net worth that you need to be aware of. So if your goal is to have your net worth go up, you want to have the percentage of it that is tied up in things that are falling to be as low as possible. And the other end of that spectrum, you want to have as much of your net worth as possible invested in things that are going to become more valuable over time, whether that's real estate or your house or mutual funds, some type of investment of some sort. That's what you want to have be a greater percentage because that's going to go up without you contributing to it through your income, which you also want to direct towards building your net worth. But your net worth needs to, if you really want to make it grow, needs to grow through more than just the money you add to it every month out of your paycheck. It needs to be able to grow on its own. Because if it doesn't grow on its own, first of all, inflation will chip away at your buying power if you don't have it invested such that it at least keeps up with that. So your buying power will be eroded by default if you just leave it in cash. So you want to have it invested to at least keep up with inflation, but then if you can do better than that, it'll grow on its own, and eventually that will help your net worth get to a size that will sustain you when you decide to stop working. So another related question of, okay, what percent of my financial picture does this or that move represent is what percent of your income does this move represent? Okay, so regardless of what percent of your net worth it is, I think it's helpful too to ask, okay, if you make $50,000, $60,000 a year, but you want to spend $30,000 on a car that, again, like a laptop, over time will eventually be worth less and less, especially as you drive it more. That's a significant amount of your time that you're going to spend at work, kind of trying to offset that decline in value. So those are some kind of neat questions to ask. Is what I'm about to do, whether it's a good investment or, let's say good investment versus bad investment, but is what I'm about to spend money on going to help grow my net worth over time or cause it to fall? So I'm curious. I've kind of become practiced personally at asking myself that question from when it comes to most things. I'm curious how many of you, as just viewers of this channel, is that something you do regularly as well, or is that kind of a new way of looking at things? So I'm curious about to have your feedback on that. So anyway, hope this is helpful. Thanks for watching.